I am seriously not surprised that the Blues did lose to the Wild, but I will talk about it more coming up here on Locked On Blues.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Wednesday, November 20th, okay? And we're approaching the end of November, but we're still very much in a busy hockey season. The Blues lost to the Minnesota Wild last night 4-2, so I will talk about that. Obviously, Robert Thomas is back. What were my thoughts on him? What do I think about his impact in the lineup? And of course, looking ahead, we have San Jose tomorrow night. So a big game for the Blues, a game that the Blues really need to win. They've now lost 2 games in a row, so we'll talk about that. I'm getting a little bit carried away with myself over here on Locked On Blues' intro. However, I just have so much to share. But you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Hello, and welcome back. So besides my intro, I also want to put this in here too. I will be having Russ Cohen, aka Sportsology. He's been on the show before. He is one of the hosts of Locked On Flyers, but he's also a huge prospect insider. So he knows everything about all of these prospects. And I was talking to Russ, and I said to him, hey, I don't think this team is going to make the playoffs. Maybe we can give some of the listeners something to look forward to in terms of the draft, some hope on some prospects that the Blues could get. And he was like, you know what? I think that's a great idea. So he has a list coming out at the end of the month, and it basically goes over all the top prospects. So when that comes out, I'm going to have him on. I just think it's really interesting to get perspective from somebody that knows these prospects inside and out. And with how the Blues are playing now, I just don't see this team being a playoff team. Anything can change. It's still early. I just want to also give all of you something to maybe look forward to if it ends up not working out for them this season. All right, so let's talk about that loss to the Wild. It was a 4-2 loss to Minnesota. I have to say, I saw a lot of potential for this team. I really did. I thought maybe, just maybe, the Blues were going to be able to secure a win. In the first period, the Wilds were able to start off the scoring. So Ryan Hartman scored, and it was about a little over halfway through the first period. But the Blues were putting up a good fight, honestly. So I wasn't necessarily that concerned. In the second frame, 5 minutes in, Scotty P, that is right, Scott Perunovich scored. He was assisted by Jordan Kyrou and Zachary Bolduc with the secondary. I was really happy for Perunovich. I know that he got his first NHL goal only a couple games ago, and he has been playing better when he does put all of his effort in, was what I was trying to say. Sometimes Perunovich can look slow on the ice. His passes are not always crisp and clean. But last night, I actually thought he did play a decent game. And obviously, that goal was able to equalize that game heading into the final frame. So at least the Blues were able to keep it competitive, which I was most impressed about. Then we get through the final frame. Kirill, of course, scores. Who wouldn't bet on that one, making it 2-1. Then we go have a couple minutes later, Jake Neighbor scores on the power play. Remember when Bush and some of the guys were saying that they just didn't have enough time to really focus on the power play, and that's why they weren't executing? They had been scoring power play goals. So that's why it was a little bit confusing when players on the team were saying that they needed to work on the power play more in real game situations, because they have been finding success. And to me, I did say then, and I'm pretty sure it was Bushi who said it. I said it sounded like an excuse. And I don't like to say that about things that players say. I believe players are being genuine. I do. However, sometimes it just seems like a little bit, it just seems like a little bit. But luckily, as I said, they were able to score on that power play, which was a really good goal that Neighbors had. He was assisted by Bushi, and of course, getting his 6th assist of the season, just like he never left, Robert Thomas. So it was really good for Tomer to be able to get the secondary, mainly because I'm a little bit biased. Okay, I am so biased. But at the end of the day, whenever Robert Thomas is able to score or get an assist or get any kind of point, I am overly enthusiastic about it just because that's my boy. Continuing on looking at the game, Jonas Broden. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. Sorry about that. I did lose my voice. I had to cough it out. Yeah, but Broden was able to score, making it 3-2. And then, of course, Kirill was able to get the Wild's his 4th goal of the game, his 2nd goal of the game, in an empty netter. So that is basically what went down last night. Robert Thomas was able to get the 3rd star of the game with his assist, probably because it was his first time back. Benner, by the way, was in net. He had 24 saves and obviously 3 in behind him. That empty netter doesn't count, obviously. So that was his statistics from last night. In terms of ice time, because, I'm somebody that always looks about ice time. Zachary Bolduc, by the way, did not have a lot of ice time. He had about 8 minutes and 30 seconds, which didn't seem like a lot. Ryan Suter had 23 minutes. Folk had 22 minutes. Perico had 24 minutes. Thomas, by the way, he did have 23 minutes. Texie only had 9. And Holloway only had 9. So the reason why I'm even saying that is just to show you that they are still overusing Suter, that Thomas seemingly is back to himself, and that looks good. But that was some of the stats from last night's game. I like to do a little bit of a breakdown from, the game last night. And I will talk about Robert Thomas, okay? I will talk more and more about him in my next coming up segment because somebody like him does get his own segment, right? But anyways, Bannister after the game said we did some good things and there's some things that we have to correct. We've got to find ways to win hockey games right now, whether the bounces are going for us. We've got to work on those bounces to go on our way. I was confused about okay. Remember when I mentioned Holloway's ice time? He didn't play him a lot. I was confused about that because I don't think he looked that bad. I understand that some people might be a little bit frustrated with Holloway that he's not maybe giving it what you thought he was going to give it, but I actually think he's playing quite well. They, as in the Blues, they can't stop turning over the puck. I kind of can't stand what Bannister is saying at this point. It just seems like the old what's a merry-go-round when you keep on going in circles. That's how I feel like he is. And at the end of the day, they're just ugly when they're in the offensive zone. They don't have any control. And even when they're in their own defensive zone, it looks awful. Like it's not good. So we will talk about basically, and that's why I did bring up Jim Montgomery, who just got fired from the Bruins yesterday, because is it crazy to think maybe if you get rid of Bannister, you bring in Montgomery, maybe your team turns things around? I just can't think that this team is going in the direction that it's going in. I have tried to be optimistic, right? And I've tried to be positive. I have tried to be everything that you would want me to be on this podcast. I tell it how it is. I watched the game last night. I thought it was kind of a boring game. I'm going to be very honest with you. It did not excite me in any way at all. But the Wild, yet again, were able to come out on top, and Neighbors even said it's frustrating. I think we're generating right. The looks are right. The looks are there. Kind of a story where we're not finishing them. That's the way it's kind of going right now. We can't seem to finish. I think there's a lot of positive things. We're creating and playing well, and we're in games. We've got to find a way to win. And that's the general talk around the locker room is we need to find a way to win. Well, you've been saying that now for over a month, that you need to find a way to win. Find the way to win. I don't know why this team gets so burnt out in the final frame, especially the final 10-ish minutes, but they need to find a way to win. They need to stop with the turnovers. It's not just Jordan Kyrou. It is the whole entire team. Please tell me why this team turns over the puck so much and why they have no puck control. They need to step it up because right now, the way that they're playing, and this is why I did my little PSA about Russ coming on the show, this is not a playoff team. Let me repeat myself. This is not a playoff team. Okay. I'm going to talk about my boy Robert Thomas because that brings me joy because he's like the only thing about this team right now that actually is putting in all the effort possible. But first, I want to talk to you about my friends over at PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Okay? PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineup stays in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your line live. Okay? PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. And when my pick hits, I personally love to get my money in as little as 15 minutes, and I do that through Venmo. That is right. You can deposit and withdraw money through Venmo. Like that's as easy as you can make it, okay? So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5. You don't even need a win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday each Tuesday. PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. So Nathan McKinnon for more than a half a goal, Evander Kane for more than 1.5 hits. You can do Dave Pastrnak for more than 2.5 shots on goal. Sidney Crosby for more than half a point. So this is what you need to do, okay? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. So it's something about Robert Thomas, the only person that brings me happiness. Literally the only person that brings me happiness in life with this team. Thomas tonight, as I said, he played 23 minutes and 7 seconds. He had 2 shots on goal. He had 1 point with his assist on Jake Neighbors' power play goal. And on faceoffs, he was 14 for 23, which was a 61%. Honestly, that's pretty good for your first night back after missing 12 games. The minutes on ice were kind of what got me the most excited because it is a lot of time. He nearly did play, if you round-ish up, right? Like 6 minutes and something. He nearly played half the game if you look at it like that. But no, he did play a lot of time on ice and he looked really good out there too. So Robert Thomas did talk about how he felt like he did after the game last night. Obviously, it wasn't the outcome that the Blues wanted, okay? Not the outcome. And I think they all kind of know that, right? But Thomas said it felt good. Timing was a little bit off, but I started to feel more comfortable as the game went on. Personally, I had a lot of chances. We generated a lot. Their goalie made some big saves. They stuck with it, got a couple of bounces, and found a way to win it. But I feel like we were right in that game. And I agree with Robert Thomas. They were in that game. Now, Binnington, yeah, did he have the best game? No. Okay, no. However, the Blues did play well most of the game. They actually looked like the team that should be winning for most of the game. Luckily, having Robert Thomas back, I think made the game a little bit more competitive than if he was not in that lineup, just because of how much he was generating on the ice. Bannister spoke about Thomas and said, I thought he played really well. He didn't look like he's been off for 4 weeks. And here's the thing. He needs to keep that line the same. I don't care about the changes that he wants to make. He needs to keep it the same. The Bush, Thomas, and Kyrou line tonight was good, okay? They were good. I mean, 5-on-5, they were on the ice for about 14 minutes, which honestly is not bad at all to have a line stay on the ice for that long. My personal take watching Robert Thomas last night is that he did not miss a beat. If you put me in a time capsule from game 1 against the Seattle Kraken in the beginning of the season on October 8th, and you fast forward me to right now, and you said to me, Hale, watch this game, I would not say, oh, something looks off with Robert Thomas. Was he like not playing? I would never say that because Robert Thomas looked like he's been playing this entire time. And again, this just goes to the kind of player that he is. I was very shocked yesterday. I'm going to be honest with you. I was shocked that he was playing again because it was only 4 weeks. I know they said 4 to 6 weeks, with a fractured ankle. I just thought maybe it would take a little bit longer than that. But I know that he is a hard worker. He put in the effort to come back. So I was really happy for him, right? Obviously, Thomas, he said, I invested a lot of myself and I'm pretty happy with the result before the game. He knew what he had to get done, and that was to get better. That was to be healthy. When a team is struggling because their star player is out, and let's face it, Robert Thomas is the Blues' star player. I think the players, I know Neighbors and Shen have both basically said that. When he is out, it changes that dynamic of the team. And Coach Bannister said when Thomas was initially ruled out that the team had to play more as a team and they couldn't play as selfish. And I think that's a good message. I think that the team needed to be more congruent and play with each other in that sense. However, they could not find the ways to win. Last night's game, and I said it, this is Robert Thomas's first game back after missing 12 games, 4 weeks. That's a good amount of time, right, to miss being on the ice. I mean, I know he was skating. I'm talking about game-wise. So it's a good amount of time. I was not going to put any blame on Robert Thomas last night at all, due to the fact that he came back so early, and that I do still genuinely believe that he could have maybe went another week before coming back to just fully rehab. But then I watched him last night, and I'm thinking to myself, the entirety of the game, he looks good. He looks ready. And then I get confused because I'm like, wait, I was so convinced in my head that this was a mistake, but I think that this is what the team needed. Obviously, it wasn't a win. And that sucks because, Robert Thomas's first game back, you wanted to be a win, right? That's what they always say. However, at the end of the day, this is a good step in the right direction for the Blues. They had the San Jose Sharks tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that in my looking ahead segment. But I just wanted to put that out there that any pressure you put on Robert Thomas, take that away. He's just coming back. I kept my expectations very low, and I was actually very impressed. But last night's game was another example of how this team cannot finish games. You don't get a point for being in it most of the game, by the way. You don't get that. The NHL doesn't care. You have 82 games that you play. You get points by winning the game or going to extra minutes. You don't get points by being in it most of the game. The Blues have a sense of frustration, and I sense that with Jake Neighbors. When I even spoke to Jake Neighbors in person, when I said about a slump that I felt like they were in, he was visibly annoyed about that. However, I was right about that because they were in a slump, and that's what was going on. This team needs to find a way to win. And I know Kyrou, I respect Kyrou so much. Like, even talking with Kyrou one-on-one, like, you just can tell how passionate about this game he is. And you can just sense that this team is overall frustrated, as they should be, because it is a very frustrating situation. However, I'm going to maybe give some hope when we do our looking ahead segment, because there's a couple things that intrigue me. Also, I don't know if anybody else owns a cat, but if you ever get like random cat hair in your mouth and it's like, oh, that was me just then. If you're watching on YouTube. All right, time to talk to my friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. The St. Louis Blues take on the San Jose Sharks tomorrow. And how do I feel about the game? I don't know. I get nervous when it comes to the Blues and the Sharks for whatever reason. That is like the one game that just freaks me out just due to the fact that I know how the Blues are against San Jose. And last season, it did not end well at all. Now, luckily, the Blues are hosting them this time. So for me, that's good. But here's the thing. I don't know if I feel good about this game. I know. And I know I shouldn't feel bad about it. But I mean, San Jose right now is plus 172, which doesn't seem awful to me, right? Which is saying the odds makers are kind of like, okay, the Sharks are still not a good team. However, neither are the Blues. And that's the problem that we have here. I mean, I know they have Celebrini. He got his first goal. Exciting. The Sharks do play tonight. However, they're at Dallas. So it is back-to-back games, which kind of makes them feel a little bit better that hopefully they get a little bit tired and worn out in that sense. But the Sharks are 6-10-4 on the season. And then you have the St. Louis Blues, who really are not doing well this season at all, as they're 8-11-1. So the Blues have 17 points total to San Jose's 16 points. So they're really not that far off. Again, I am not trying to downplay anything about, San Jose, because I know that they're in a rebuilding and they're doing the rebuilding the correct way. I do believe that the way that the Sharks are playing is how you should be rebuilding. Today at practice, by the way, Bannister said that Shed and Folk each had a maintenance day today. He said recording tomorrow, he hopes so, but it is a maintenance day, and I would imagine they'd be ready to play tomorrow. So don't panic on that one. Bannister said Philip Broberg has been on the ice, and he had a couple skates on his own. He looks really good. I don't think there's any timeline right now, but ahead of where we thought he was going to be. Positive. Just due to the fact that Braden Shen and Justin Folk both have maintenance days, the lines today at practice were Bush, Thomas Cairo, Saad, Sunquist filling in Neighbors, Bolduc, Holloway, Matthew Joseph, Torochenko, Foxa, and Walker. Shen wasn't skating, and then Texier was an extra, okay? Defense, we had Suter Pareko, Perunovic, P.O. Joseph filling in for Folk, Schuneman and Kessel. Binner and Hofer. I thought Schuneman actually played all right last night. All right, right? Not just all right. So another thing is the Blues' Winter Classic sweater that got dropped today, and I was kind of cracking up because somebody said it was the Battle of the Mid. So I think this is actually very, very cool. I mean, if I could show you a picture on here, I would. So I'll just describe it a little bit. It's a white sweater with blue kind of going across like the middle area and then a red stripe above it. I actually like it a lot. So I think this is actually very cool. Sewn down, embroidered, heritage felt, front, center crest, and shoulder patch. It was inspired by the team's unworn 1966 prototype jerseys. It was a newly designed vintage style blue note. It appears on the shoulder, so it's not like actually like on the middle of the sweater. Inside the back neck is a hem loop, and yeah, so very cool. Enjoy it. I am still debating on going out to the Winter Classic. It is weird not seeing the blue note though, like on like the sweater, if that makes sense, just because I like that one a lot. But this isn't bad. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's not a bad sweater. It's just, it's weird because I keep on looking for the blue note, and that blue note holds a lot of, significance for all of us Blues fans. So I know for me, it does. Remember when the Blues pulled up to the Winter Classic in 2022 wearing nothing but beach clothes, and it was like literally -6 degrees? I remember because I was looking back at my own Twitter account, my own personal account. I don't even think it was my hockey account, just like my own personal one that I don't really share. I literally tweeted out, I'm like, this is why I love this team. So I really hope they do something similar like that, but it just got me excited for the Winter Classic. All right, I will talk to you all tomorrow previewing the San Jose Sharks. And until then, let's go Blues.